Have you ever felt like just a pawn, voiceless and powerless in the grand game of life? But who really determines victory? The kings and queens, or the pawns that advance silently, one step at a time? Dostoevsky wrote that the secret of human existence is not only in living but in knowing what one lives for. And it is precisely in this awareness that the essence of the pawn lies. In chess, it is the smallest piece, the most limited, often expendable. But what few recognize is that the pawn holds one of the greatest powers: transformation. If it has patience, if it advances with strategy and determination, it can become any other piece, even a queen, the most powerful on the board. But how many pawns truly reach that goal? How many are sacrificed along the way, used merely as shields to protect pieces deemed more important? This dilemma in chess reflects life itself. We live in a world that idolizes the strongest, those with influence, those who control the game. But those who move forward with perseverance, resisting, learning, and overcoming difficulties are the ones who truly evolve, and for that reason, they are the ones who can make a real difference. At first glance, the pawn appears to be the least significant piece. It can only move forward, one square at a time, and has limited capturing ability. It cannot jump like the knight, it does not move diagonally like the bishop, nor does it dominate entire columns like the rook. If chess is a game of strategy, power, and intelligence, why give importance to a pawn? But here lies the deception. Sun Tzu, in The Art of War, stated that every war is based on deception. The pawn deceives, because it appears insignificant, yet it can decide the outcome of an entire game. At the start of the game, pawns form the front line, a true army protecting the more valuable pieces. They are the first to enter battle, opening spaces for strategic moves to follow. And if used wisely, they can become the key to victory. But there is a crucial detail. A pawn can never move backward. Its movement is irreversible. It can hesitate, it can wait, but once it advances, it can never retrace its steps. This makes it a piece that demands strategy because an impulsive move can doom it to capture. It is a powerful metaphor for life. How many times do we move forward without knowing what awaits us? How often do we feel we have few options, trapped in a path where every choice seems final? The pawn teaches that since we cannot go back, we must always move forward, and there is only one way to do so, with intelligence, observing every detail of life's board. Napoleon Bonaparte, a master of strategy, said that victory belongs to those who persevere the most, and this is the truth about the pawn. It appears weak, and for this reason it is underestimated. But if it uses patience wisely, with the right support around it, well, it can become the most powerful piece on the board. This concept is evident even among chess grandmasters. José Raúl Capablanca, world champion and considered a genius of strategic simplicity, knew how to turn pawns into a lethal weapon. He never saw them as expendable pieces, but as the foundation of strategy. In one of his most famous games, Capablanca used a simple pawn advance to completely destabilize his opponent's position, forcing them into mistakes. This is what he teaches us. Never underestimate small steps, never ignore the power of small choices, because it is precisely these that determine our destiny. When small actions accumulate, they turn minor changes into silent revolutions. The pawn, therefore, is not the weakest piece, it is the most strategic. It demonstrates that it does not matter where you start, but how you advance. It teaches that you do not need to be giants to make a difference. You just need to have patience, vision, and the courage to continue. The pawn cannot move backward, and so its path is one and only, a constant march forward without any guarantees of success. Seen in this way, isn't it decidedly and absolutely a heroic path? Many pawns are sacrificed during the game, left behind, captured without hesitation, used as mere tools to allow other more important pieces to gain space on the board. In chess and in life, those at the base are often the first to fall. This reality recalls the words of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are called upon to change ourselves. The pawn understands this truth. It cannot change the game, but it can change itself. The true power of the pawn lies in its ability to adapt. If it reaches the end of the board, it will be promoted to become any piece it wishes. In most cases, it becomes a queen, the most powerful piece in the game. This means that, given its initial limitations, the pawn holds within itself the highest possible potential. This path resembles that of great personalities who, starting from nothing, managed to achieve incredible milestones. One in particular, Abraham Lincoln, who failed countless times before becoming President of the United States. In chess, there is a concept called the isolated pawn. This happens when a pawn has no other pawns beside it to protect it. Without support, it becomes vulnerable and thus an easy target. This principle applies perfectly to life as well. When you are alone, without support, you are more fragile. The chances of success increase when you build connections, when you have a support group, when you are part of something bigger. Many believe that to win you must be a king or queen, but the truth is that the greatest were once pawns. The secret lies in sacrifice and the ability to overcome oneself. The pawn advances one step at a time, slowly, relentlessly, but discreetly. In a game where some pieces cross the entire board with a single move, its path may seem insignificant, but upon closer observation, a powerful secret is revealed: constant progress. Leonardo da Vinci is credited with a significant phrase: simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. That is, true refinement lies in simplicity. The pawn is the perfect example of this concept. It does not impress with its size, but with its persistence. It does not perform spectacular moves, but it advances unceasingly. In chess, as in life, victory almost never comes from a moment of sudden genius, but from the disciplined repetition of small steps. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, said Thomas Edison. Most people make the mistake of believing that great changes must be dramatic. Immediate results, quick solutions, transformations overnight are desired. In chess, there is a concept called positional strategy. It teaches that a player should not seek immediate advantages, but build a solid position with small adjustments throughout the game. Someone who reads 10 pages of a book a day may not notice any difference in a week, but in a year, they will have read dozens of books. Silent progress is the most powerful because it does not attract attention until it becomes impossible to ignore. What can we learn from all this? How can we apply the pawn's mentality in everyday life? First of all, one must be aware that progress is not always visible. At first it seems that nothing is happening, but in the long run, the small progresses accumulate and generate an enormous impact. It does not matter where you start, but where you end up. Everyone has the power to reinvent themselves, to transform their weaknesses into strengths, as long as they have the patience and discipline to keep advancing. But there is one fundamental detail. No pawn reaches the end alone. In life it is the same. No one grows alone. Mentors, friends, a community are needed. The support of the right people can make the difference between being captured along the way or reaching the other side of the board. This brings us to the last great lesson of the pawn: the importance of strategic sacrifice. In chess, many pawns are sacrificed to open the way for a decisive attack. In life, sometimes you have to give up something to obtain something even greater. What matters is understanding that not all losses are defeats. Often they are necessary steps toward victory. Author Ryan Holiday wrote, "The obstacle is the way." The pawn demonstrates exactly this. It encounters obstacles in every move, but it does not stop. It knows that every difficulty overcome brings it one step closer to its goal. The truth is that we have all been or will be pawns. Sometimes we are without even realizing it. Other times we fight not to be, and yet, in certain moments, being a pawn is the only way to advance. How do you live your life strategy? If this message has inspired you and left you with something valuable, we are happy. Like a pawn advancing on the chessboard, every choice can open new paths. If you want to continue this journey of growth, we present to you the video in overlay.